When it comes to change, change is disruptive to the ego. And so I want you to understand and get really clear about what part of you, your team, and your responses are ego. So what's our ego? It's not confidence, this sense that you're capable and can tackle what's next. That's just confidence. Ego is this narrator in your head that is always talking, that most people believe the commentary. So your ego's a narrator that's just always going, this is going to be disastrous. They don't understand. We don't have time for this. This is just like we did 1989. This has already been tried. This is completely different than the direction we were going. They should have told us this 3 days ago. We had to find out about this in the email blast or the public announcement. I want you guys just to get in touch with this constant tape recorder that's just running in your head. That's your ego. And none of it is true until you give it your agreement. Then it becomes part of your reality and it starts to cause you stress. So if I think this will be disastrous, it has no stress until I go, oh my gosh, I'm going to believe what I think. So ironically or weirdly enough, when we talk to people about change, most people are in a lot of fear, and fear is spelled F-E-A-R, false events appearing real. And so ego is this filter on our reality that gets overreacted to any disruption that may expose our lack of competence in some area. It looks for insult where there isn't any. It really feeds itself on irritation and anger. Ego eats anger for lunch. So it's always scanning the environment to see where you're a victim or to see where there's disruption. And the reason I bring up this ego piece is I want you to get really in tune with listening to the narrative that you are conducting with your teams, that you're conducting kind of in what you write. So to give you a little bit of insight, and then I want you to do some self-reflection. When I ask for specific changes that each group's going through, it's because I wanted us to work our model with these specific things. And so specific change is they're moving to a fee-based model. What happens is the ego, rather than working on something specific about a fee-based model, the ego will try and make things ambiguous. It will go, well, that's doable, but the biggest problem is Cy. We're expected to do more with less. We are expected to do all of this while being compliant. We're expected to, move through this quickly and still serve all of our customers and not get into any trouble. And that's why I laughed a little bit. We have to do things more cheaply and more efficiently, and we need to stay compliant, and we need to, undergo the increased scrutiny of our regulars and internal partners. All of that's completely true. But when that's the change you're going through, your ego keeps it ambiguous. Because when I read this, I go, well, basically that's your job description. Being asked to do more with less, remaining compliant to internal and external requirements, communicating more information in different formats to get to our customers while operating quicker, cheaper, and more efficiently. That's not a change. That's your job description. That's being fluent in the now and ready for what's next. What the ego does is make it a change. So what the ego wants to do is take something specific and make it ambiguous, because it can always be the victim in that. And the answer then, it becomes an unanswerable question. It becomes, Cy, how do I do more with less, and how do I do all of this? It becomes a question without an answer, and that leaves the ego in kind of a victim space. And so it was interesting where I saw ego jump in a little bit on some of the examples I got. We're piloting a fee-based model, right? And so you're asked to pilot a fee-based model, but the commentary in there was, and we really didn't know about it until press time came out. So where the ego comes in is, what's my job today to move to a different model? And then the ego comments, well, but actually what you need to know is we didn't learn about this until the press release. And that's where your stories come from, and your stress comes from your stories, not your reality. In your daily job, you'll be asked to start things and stop things. You'll be asked to always strive for more aggressive agendas with limited resources. That's just called capitalism. And those are two things to really tune into, because the ego responds to disruption by blaming leaders. Leaders, you know, they can think this stuff, but they don't know how much time it takes, and they have no idea what they're commissioning. And without ego, here's what that sounds like. Fee-based model. Let's outline what an initial scope and charter would look like, and let's start the dialogue to identify what's in scope and what's out of scope. One just sounds like regular work, doesn't it? The other one sounds like I am in crazy land. I am, you know, being asked to do the impossible. The ego is always chapped, and everything you're asked to do, the ego makes it pretty impossible. You know, one of the things that I want you in touch with, were you guys aware of how much opinion is happening in your head that you are believing? Because one of the things I say is stop believing everything you think, and it frees up a lot of time and energy. Because our ego puts conditions on things. It says, well, if they would have just told us, or if we would have been consulted, or if I wouldn't have had to read about that, you know, when it was already published, then I would be on board. But I didn't. And so here's kind of all this complaining and BMW driving. And the reality is, every single day you'll be asked to do things that you didn't know about with enough lead time. That every single day, let me be psychic, you'll ask to do things that people don't fully understand the scope of. You will be asked to do things that aren't fully funded or well thought out. You'll be asked to organize initiatives with regional partners who aren't immediately aligned. That's called your day job. And the value you add as a professional is not how you could work something in perfect circumstances. It's how you can work something in reality. All of that gap between perfect circumstances and reality, all that risk mitigation, all of that that need to pull together and align and scope, that is where you add value. If the circumstances were perfect, we could just automate this stuff and there would be no value for you to add. At your tables, I want you each person to go to the changes that are facing you specifically and identify commentary that your ego is adding on top of it, and then we'll have some fun sharing these out. So somebody document a few of these for each group to share out.